Zach Maslany now making his way to the stage. Maslany in the black and white. Expect fireworks, ladies and gentlemen.
It's Zach from 10th Planet Bethlehem.
10th Planet Bethlehem.
Veritable dream team of killers.
Him and JM
Yes, sir.
holding down the fort at 10th Planet Bethlehem.
Great technique. He's
a beast. He's a savage.
excellent coaches, I have to say. Great guys, JM and Zach.
It's a beautiful.
Great guys, JM and Zach.
Veritable dream team of killers.
He's a beast. He's a savage.
It's Zach from 10th Planet Bethlehem.
10th Planet Bethlehem. It's 10th Planet Bethlehem. It's a beautiful.
Great technique. It's
10th Planet Bethlehem.
Hey, yo. It's the Zach's Corner Podcast, Volume 43 in the history books. If you're following along, Zach's Corner Podcast, like I said, episode volume number 43, sorry. I can't believe we're up to number 43. I was just thinking to myself the other day, holy shit, I'm going to be close to 50 soon, dude. 50. And I plan on doing a lot of these this year. The past 2 weeks, though, and I know this is always my excuse for not getting the podcast done, is I was really busy. But as I'm going to explain over the next few minutes, if you have an opportunity to sit down and listen up, I'm going to talk to you about how busy I was the past couple of weeks and just all the emotions and stuff leading up to the Finishers Tournament and everything like that. So before we get started, that was Wiz Khalifa. And that was, let me see what the name of that song is. I can never remember what the name of that song is, but it's a sick little audio track that Wiz has on. And I talk a lot of shit on new rappers. Wiz really isn't even a new rapper. He's been around for a long time already. But Wiz definitely is one of the younger guys that I really like. And I like his style. A lot of his songs are kind of the same, but I do dig me some Wiz Khalifa. And this is actually called Weed Nap with Currency. And Currency is spelled C-U-R-R-E and $Y. So that's how I would spell it too. But yeah, Wiz is the man. Wiz is training a lot of jiu-jitsu, kickboxing right now. So if you haven't seen that, follow Wiz on Instagram. He's hanging out with the High Rollers guys, Mighty Matt and Big Lon and the crew. And yeah, Wiz is really getting into, I think he's like a blue belt or something, trains a lot of jiu-jitsu, and he's ripped as fuck. He's more ripped than me. I'm sure that I could beat, I'm sure that I would, I mean, he's a blue belt, so I'm sure I would heel hook or I could arm triangle Wiz Khalifa. But really cool to see guys like that training, man. It just gets more people interested in it. And speaking of being interested in jiu-jitsu and martial arts, man, we've been getting a lot of leads at the school. We're getting so many people hitting us up. And that's really cool. It's it's a good thing, man. I feel so blessed, and sometimes I get upset about things, and I'm like, oh man, I really want this or I want that, and I'm like, you know what, man, just take your time, just relax about it, and just kind of let things fall into place like Tetris. It's so hard because anytime it's just like, and jujitsu is very much like life, how we always say this, but when you try to force things, it doesn't work. Like when you're like, oh, in jujitsu too, you guys know this. If you really try to force a move, or even if you end up getting the sub or you end up getting the position, if you force it is usually when you train something. Some of my favorite guys to watch, there are times when you have to force it, you have a good squeeze and you have to clamp down and just battle through like a top half pass. Or if you're trying to body lock pass, you get into, warm-ups G, getting a G1, G2, if you like G2 better than G1, I like to pass better, to have my head on the other side. But when you're passing like that, you can force it, but you're still using technique. And it's so much, better to see people flow through something. Like you see the way Gary rolls, see the way Grace rolls, see the way like some of the smoothest guys. Now, granted, you got to have a squeeze and you got to have all that other stuff ready to go when you do get the submission, or when you have to sometimes there is a time to goon it. You know what I'm saying? But that's not all the time. And you will get hurt like that. Gooning it usually is like getting out of something or if you're just like grabbing someone's head and squeezing the shit out of their face, you're like, goon it, goon it, goon it. That's an old school one that, shout out to Chris Herzog. He did that one time. He was yelling goon it to one of his guys. And, we used to make fun of guys who used to yell goon it. But honestly, there is a specific time to goon something. And, there is other times, though, you're trying to use technique. But what I'm saying is, when you're trying to force things, as opposed to just letting it flow, like John Jock, like shout out to John Jock. I'm recording this today is Wednesday. It's actually John Jock Machado's birthday today. So really pumped. Shout out to my jiu-jitsu grandfather, Jean-Jacques Machado. Yeah, it's a whole nother thing. But John Jock is so smooth. You will just do a move to him instead of just like using the force against you. He will just manipulate around you. Same thing with like Javi Vasquez. And, I remember John Jock watching Daniel O'Brien, and JM was telling me that John Jock really liked Daniel O'Brien. You guys don't know Daniel O'Brien. He's this big down south guy. He hasn't been doing much competing anymore, but he owns his own school. He's one of those real flowy guys. And it's so hard to explain. If you don't do jiu-jitsu, this is so hard to explain. Even if you do jiu-jitsu, it's freaking hard to explain. But watching like when Javi Vasquez taught a seminar to school, and he's going to be coming back to, and all the MMA guys should be training when Javi comes, should be training there. But he's working on, just getting past people's guards and just kind of, when do you pass? When it's the green light. When it's the red light, you can't pass. But when the guy gives you the green light, that's the best time to pass, right? So you're kind of like working your way into it and forcing it, or like not forcing it, but you're like working it, and all of a sudden just boom, you fall through like a Plinko chip. Like then you just bop, hitting each side. Which side am I going to? You don't just boom, hit the other side, redirect, other side. Just kind of like melting into you, and that style is more like, something you could pertain to your life. You're just kind of adapting to your life, and you're just like a shapeshifter and like, it's taking me this direction. All right, I'll just, be shapeless, be like water and form into it and figure it out, and, when you're trying to accomplish things, and you're trying to, even in training, you're forcing it in training, and it's too much, so there's a point where you're going overboard, when you're lifting too much, when you're working out too much, you have to scale it back a little bit. Sometimes when you really want something, you're willing to overwork yourself, and you can't do that. You have to just kind of like let it go. Like it's good to want things and have goals and to work really hard. That's not what I'm saying, but kind of just let it fall into place, and then hopefully, the chips just fall into the spot that you want, but you kind of have to, there's all these sayings, like in golf, they always say, play it where it lands, but that's like life too. Like you can't always, have a straight drive down the pike. Sometimes shit goes boom off to the side, and you can't explain why. And you could blame whatever. You could blame other people. You could blame, just nothing goes right for me. You could blame God. You could blame all types of different things. But really, there's if you get out of the blame game and you just realize like, hey, such is life. I have to figure it out either way, and just be hopeful that things are going to work out, and you keep going every day like as if they will work out. It's not like bad things aren't going to happen. And most of the time when you want something so bad, a lot of times, like here's another cornball saying, I think there's like a Rolling Stone thing, but you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. So sometimes if you're forcing it too hard, you need to just relax and just kind of allow things to happen. And then, they will happen as they will. I mean, if you don't really have, you can do all the things you can do to make something, or to make, to do good at a fight, or to make something happen. And then, once the work is done, it's on the stars to align, and whether it's going to happen or not, and it's kind of like a way that I'm really trying to think about living life too. Like, put in the hard work and do everything, but then just realize some things are just out of your control, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I get mad when things are under my control and I don't do them, but when I falter on it. But when they're up to me, like I really try to, do everything I can to make that shit happen. And then just like I said, concentrate on the process and have fun during the process. And then just the end result is the end result. You feel me? So if that makes any sense, that's some hopeful words of wisdom. I don't even know if it makes sense to me, but it does kind of. But it's just, man, it's like jujitsu. It's just so hard to explain. Like you think you got to figure it out, but you just, the more you train, the more you realize you don't know shit, But anyways, thank you guys for listening. A lot of stuff to talk about. Let's go for upcoming stuff. Right now, we're gonna have a seminar in April in Boston. I'll be posting up a flyer with all the new dates and everything. I'm also going to be going down to Alabama after 7 years, finally make my trip to Decatur to hang out with BMAC and to film some videos down there too. So I'm going to be getting into that heavy. Going to be starting up another podcast with my boy Mike Fauerbach. It's going to be called Breaking News right now. And JM's in on it too. He's going to be on the show all the time, but it's going to be called the Now We Go podcast. And we're just going to do like mornings meet for coffee, jump in the studio, record some audio, just throw down like business shit. And we always have good conversations. He runs like a local podcast. We sponsor it. It's called the Never Again Radio Podcast. And he's going to be dropping a commercial. It's really dope. So pumped for him. He's finally, after years of putting in work to this podcast and this lifestyle brand that he's working on and all this stuff. And, Mike's such a good dude, and I wish the best for him. And that's why I love helping him out. So we're going to collaborate on some stuff and just talk business and talk motivation stuff and just whatever. I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker guy, but I'm just speaking from experience. And if I can help anybody out, awesome. So quick shout out to my boys, Adam Kalari and Mike Davila, Open Up Legend Martial Arts. Check those guys out. Shout out to them. They purchased some Fuji mats. They're very happy with them. And, I just got my working with Fuji for a while. Just got my 2019 commission deal with them. I just got pumped, just got to see who all bought mats. So thank you guys to everybody out there. Thank you guys to, 10P Miami, obviously Gabe, 10P Allentown, Thor, those guys, legends, for purchasing mats. And there's a couple more too. Master Vic down in El Paso. Crazy amount of mat space down there. They bought so many mats. Can't thank those guys enough. Helps me out. Help me to help you. So shout me out if you need to get any type of mats. I can hook you up, my boy Patrick, and we'll go from there. So shout out to those guys for opening up their school. I know our doors are open. I told you guys about Miami, so check those out if you're listening to this, wherever you listen to. Get in where you fit in. What else? I don't know what other seminars. I think that's it right now. I'm working on a few more. Thor is going to be the main event at Grapple Fest. I feel like this matchup isn't getting as much hype as it should be. Thor being, number 4 in the world, got 4th place at ADCC. Adam Warzinski is, I don't know what he's ranked, but, world champion, no gi. So Thor's going to be facing a world champion is a fucking crazy match. So it's all the way in London, even though all the way is only 8 hours away, which in 8 hours isn't that bad. And, don't get me wrong, guys. I want to go to London. I want to check it out, but I do want to stay home and, get to work on some stuff here because I've been like I said, I've been really busy with some stuff but, Thor, I am, me and JM are Thor's coach and, it's a huge match and, going on these trips for me is fun and hard at the same time because I know it puts a lot of stress on my wife. and the dogs here at home. And, JM saying with his fam, he's got to leave the cat and the whole nine. And, it's just hard that, we have to go away. But, and it's like, no, we don't have to, but it's important to me because, this is how I make money now, like I'm not competing anymore. I did decide to retire after my last match. I'm not saying that in 2 years from now, Jeff Glover wants a super fight. I'm not saying I wouldn't take it, but I need to take some serious time off from competing, my back and hip and just, I realized I was talking to my dad about it. I realized I got 20 years of competing in the game and competing consistently. I did take some time off, but man, I came right back to competing at a high level. I didn't compete for like maybe a year or two within that 20 years, like if you combine it all together, but I was always training in the mindset to compete. So, and that's a huge thing. Like I was always, very, not having an ego on the mat, but having an ego to myself and not tapping and then not letting guys I know was hurt and just getting hurt in matches and like taking on the best guys. And now a lot of the guys are just, they're in their 20s, man. They're in their early 20s. They got cardio for days. They're purple and brown belts and they want this so bad. And I can't afford to be hurt. And I'm just realizing that now my best thing will be coaching and working with the fighters and working with the other trainers and working with the guys and opening up more businesses and making bags. But just kidding. But seriously though, like I want to make, I don't want to, I didn't want to live. It was cool at first to live like a bum in the back of the school and those stories are great. But then after a while, you're like, okay, well, I'm making decent money now. Like how much money can I make? Like how much? And one of the main reasons I don't want to just make money, and I know people are like, oh, you're talking about money. I don't care, right? It's my podcast, but I'm talking about money because it's important. A lot of people, they want to, I know a lot of people who ask me like, Zach, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to get a job? My dogs are going after something, but am I going to, I'm going to try to do jiu-jitsu, like even with a college degree. I got a college degree, but even people with college degrees are like, wanting to quit their job and just do jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu is you can do on your own terms and it's a lot of fun. Obviously, if you train, it's like taking something, a passion or just a hobby that you were into and turning it into a job. Like imagine if you run and now you get paid to run. Imagine if you played video games and now you get paid to play video games. Imagine if you name it. Imagine if you love baking and now you get paid to bake, right? And you get paid decent amount to do it. You can kind of make your own schedule and you're in charge. That's huge. That's huge. So people are very interested in trying to do something, and especially not just something that you're doing like, not taking anything away from any of those other jobs, but you get to do something in martial arts. It's up to you, but you get to, you're doing it with your body and your mind. So your brain has to tell your body and you feel like you get enlightened almost by doing this shit, and like when you get done training, your mind is clear. And you have the camaraderie of everybody at the school and people pay you and people pay us and then they constantly thank us and thank you guys so much for what you guys do for me and blah, blah. I'm like, you're paying to come here. This is crazy. And I really love what I do and I don't want to take that for granted. And I feel like my best bet is to be involved with working with everybody. And the whole reason I brought up money is the more I know that the more money that I make, the better I can make it for my family, the better I can make it for my future kids and my wife, obviously, and my, parents, if they come into hard times, the easier it will be on them that I can come back and help them if they needed something, or my wife's parents or whatever, gladly love to help them. Or if I can, make the more money I can make, the more people that were there for me when I started, like Mike Ortiz and Joel, and these guys were my training partners forever. And now they're really getting heavy into martial arts. And I want to talk to them about running their own shit. So they're in charge of stuff, you know what I mean? And they're the ones making a living doing it too and not working full-time jobs and bullshit like that. So I know if I make more money, they're going to make more money. And Andrew has a family already. If he's making more money, if I'm doing good, he's doing good. You know what I mean? So just all that. So I know the more stuff we accomplish, the better things are going to get for everybody. And that's really, I feel like, it's being one of the owners. I'm in charge of a lot of this. JM is like right in his prime of competing right now. And if he wants to be. You know, he's working really hard regardless. But if he wants to compete a whole bunch more, and it seems like he does, he's talking about doing the 55 qualifier, you know, jumping in some local tournaments, fuck it. And this is the time. He's so strong and he's such a beast. And now he's like, you know, as we're getting older, you know, we're learning so much. And, you know, I'm 36. Like if I have like a knee injury or something, and I could have a knee injury in training at any time, but if I have a knee injury in you know, in a competition because I was fighting some fucking guy at Fight to Win for no reason for $250, or fighting somebody at the finishers for $800 or $1,000 or whatever. If I get my knee blown out, look how much, you know, I'm in charge of the kids. You know, I train a kids class 3 times a week. I'm in charge of helping Grace get ready for tournaments, being a training partner for her and being an instructor, being a instructor for Thor and helping him with his school and his business, and being a partner for, you know, JM, being a training partner for him and for all my purple belts, and helping Jamie and Artis and all those guys get ready for stuff, you know, and you know, and also being, how about at home? I wouldn't be able to do shit. Now, if I was making full-time money competing, then that's what I would be doing. I'd be competing. And if I was, you know, 5, 6 years younger, 3 years younger, if I was 33, I'd be really trying to make another year or two work, but I didn't even realize at the time, you know, I would have probably worked even harder, you know, when I was 33 or 32. You know, right now I'm just starting to get my strength conditioning and my, you know, eating on point and getting my diet right, working with Valley Meal Prep, working with Made Strength and Conditioning. And yeah, I wished I would have pushed it a little bit harder. I wished I would have worked harder in training and stuff. But, you know, right now I think like, you know, my goals are shifting. Like I want to get someone into UFC. I want to become a local force on the MMA scene. I want to eventually one day run my own MMA shows. I want to run combat jiu-jitsu shows. I want to commentate fights. I want to ref. I want to judge. I don't know. I'm just interested in all this stuff. These are all jobs that, you know, were jobs I never thought were attainable, but now I have the resume to, you know, apply for them. It's like crazy because it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, they want you to have 5 years experience when you come out of college, but how can you either have the degree or you have experience, but you can't get the job without experience, and you can't have experience because you just got the degree. So how the fuck do I get the job? So it doesn't really make any sense. It pisses you off, you know? But it is like, that's how they do it. Like I couldn't get a job. I was getting my degree and had a 2-year degree, but you know, they wouldn't hire me full time at the probation department because I didn't have the experience. But I'm like, yeah, but I got the degree and I've been working here, you know? So, you know, and they were like, oh, you need 2 years experience, or it's just like another way that they don't have to pay you. And no one wanted to quit that job. All these old people, they stayed in their jobs because they realized the economy at the time was taking a shit. So they never left their jobs. They never retired when they were supposed to. And then they couldn't hire any new people. So that really sucked. And so they, you know, by the time they got to the point where they were going to hire me, I was already not giving a shit and wanting to quit, you know, and I was ready to try to do my own thing anyways, you know. And like I said, at the time, I was just happy with living in the back of the school. And that's why I cut out things. And I am happy to say, though, I did finally pay off. I had one credit card from back when I just didn't pay any of my bills, and I was running into some really bad luck, and just, you know, shit happens uncontrollable to me, and it was probably a lot of just bad decisions that I made, but I owed money on still a Discover card that I just never paid, and I finally just paid it off. So I'm really excited, really excited about that. So I'm guessing my credit's going to get better, which is awesome. So I got more shit to clear up. And then, yeah, the harder I work, the more of these things that I do, the more money I make, the more I can make things easier on myself and my life. You know, they don't say money makes you happy, but it just makes things easier. And if you're able to make a living and provide for your family doing something you love, holy shit, man, I feel so grateful. And I know what it's like to work construction and work jobs that I hated. And, you know, like I said, I think the first podcast I ever did was, go back and listen to it. It's called Temporary. And the reason why I like that so much is because anything's temporary if you want it to be. I knew dudes that worked at these jobs for 20, 18 years, and they just cut their Christmas bonuses and pay just like they did mine who worked there for 4. They didn't give a fuck. And they don't care about you at some warehouse or some big time job. Like my dad worked at his company for 20 years and he just canned everybody and gave them a watch. And it was like, you know what? I can't feed my family with this bullshit ass watch. And, at that point, I like heard all these stories and I was like, man, it'd be so much better if you could just somehow figure out how to make money on your own. But it's so hard because what do you do? And it's hard to make that leap. And those are the things I want to talk about, little things I want to talk about on the Now We Go podcast. And I think I'll wait till then. And eventually I'll do it. I'll explain where we got that phrase from if I haven't already. I think I might have already on one of the previous podcasts, but if not, I'll save it for that. And if you did hear it already, you'll hear it again. But thank you guys again for listening, going through all the shit. Sometimes it's just random thoughts in my head that I'm trying to get out. And just knowing how hard life is for people and how hard it is just in general, just for everybody, how hard it is and how much shit goes into it and how much you have to just keep grinding and keep just working. I just try to, put out the vibe and tell you guys from experience on shit. So yeah, and what else was I talking about? But yeah, Thor has upcoming events, guys. That's why I want to go over upcoming events. Thor, the last thing I think on upcoming events was Thor is competing in London. Yeah, I was talking about that against Adam Warzinski. Main event, Grapple Fest in London on I'm said for free on YouTube, guys, but it's on Flow Grappling. You got to have Flow Grappling to watch. You got to pay to play, baby, but you don't have to have that on the Finishers Tournament. And speaking of the Finishers Tournament, that's what I want to cover this week too. Also shout out to, real quick, I want to shout out Matt Velez. We call him Bam Bam. Well, everybody calls him Bam Bam. Shout out to Bam Bam. He won his 4th Kids Pan Am's title in the gi. And you guys know Bam Bam trains with us. He also trains gi. He wrestles. So when he's training gi with his dad all the time. And then he's training, he's doing wrestling. When wrestling's over, he's back training no gi with us, which is really cool. I'm just happy to be, I'm not a huge part in Matt's career, but I am happy to be, a part of it and just, help him along the way. Even if I just give him a couple pointers or another guy to roll with, or if he just comes over and rolls with Grace, I'm pumped to be a part of it because Matt's going to be a legend, dude. He's a beast. He won his 4th Kids Pans title, and I'm looking to eventually do a Finishers teen/kids event, and I think we'll get kids and teens coming from all over the place, but I got to make sure I have a lot of time set out for that to talk to the parents and all that shit. But really cool, man. Like Matt's a beast, and he got his 4th title, so he's out in Cali, stopped by 10th Planet. Shout out to Aiden Rodriguez too. We call him Armbar City. Out there competing at Kids Pans too. Man, it's tough. Those kids are going to be legends competing now, making trips, and it's going to be like no big deal. I remember when I first took my trip to compete, I was shitting my pants. I was like, man, this is going to be nuts. You know what I mean? They're already doing it as little kids. So shout out to those guys. And both of them were in attendance for this, which meant a lot to me that those kids were there, and a lot of the kids were there, and Grace. And, everybody was there. The only one, JM, was on his way back from Iceland, and he missed it. But, me and JM, we got a good connection, so he knows what's up. I was a little sad, though, that he wasn't there, but it was just such the right timing for me to, retire, or at least say that I'm retired so I can step back from competing for a good amount of time, if not forever, because, like I said, 20 years in the game, man, more than that training, like I put a whooping on my body, and I'm really excited to really dig into coaching. Let's see. The Finishers Tournament was so epic, man. Like the Matrix performance in Allentown, I'm running the tournament and competing. So like I'm picking up the chairs, I'm picking up Ricky, from the airport, we're picking guys up, we're setting up the mats the night before. Shout out to everybody who helped us. Shout out to Tyler at Matrix Performance for letting us have it there. Really cool underground feel. It's right on the turf. They had food there and everything. There's a huge warm-up area where guys are warming up. It's like a big strength conditioning place, like an Onnit gym. Gary Tonin was there. He's like doing, jumping on the rings and like lifting weights over in the corner. There's all this workout equipment all over the place. And then the mat was just on the big turf area. Wow, what a cool place. Shout out to Ross and Quentin and Abe from Show the Art, and just Tom and Renee and just everybody. Juliana, Cherryville Photography, Juliana Fonseca Photography, like all the video guys and the photographers and just everybody, man. Shout out to Battle and John Battle for running a team and his squad, and the Henzo guys, Frankie and Spencer and the guys from Montreal, Corey and his squad always coming down. Just thanks for everybody to the support, man. And, we're running our own shit. Like, I know I'm like in charge of it, but like it's really the community's running it, and I'm just trying to put on the guys that compete all the time and the people that show out some crazy performances. My Will and Brian, everybody from our school won. Will and Brian killed it. Grace won her match against Trinity. Trinity's tough, man. Everybody was like, oh man, everyone thinks Grace is gonna roll through everybody, which she usually will, and that's final, but Trinity's tough as shit. And I really like her. And she's really cool. Had some battles with Randy back in the day. So great match. Grace in overtime hit her with the back triangle. But Trinity was, she's tough. And it's not the last time you're going to see Trinity versus Grace. This is just time one, round one. And, Grace takes this one. But, we'll see in the future. Grace always probably going to have a little bit of a leg up on her because she's a bit older. But Trinity's going to fill out too. Who knows? She's tall. She got long legs, very flexible. Let's see how much she ends up weighing. But I plan on doing a women's team tournament, so hopefully Trinity is on the Team Henzo squad. Obviously, Grace, 10 Planet Finishers. And shout out to the whole 10 Planet Finisher. Shout out to Cruise Combat for putting together the rash guards for this. Lewis and JM could not be in the tournament. JM was mistakenly coming. We messed up some dates, and he was coming back from a vacation he was on. And then Lewis injured his foot. So basically, I took JM's spot, and Gabe Tejada, 10 Planet Miami, you guys know Gabe, El Caribe, or as CC calls him, Cardi B, took his spot. And then Tony Burchek, 10 Planet Tucson, Ray Stingray De Leon, 10 Planet NYC, and Ricky Lule. I don't think he has a nickname, but Ricky Lule from 10 Planet Oceanside, one of Gio and Boogie's black belts. He's been a beast forever, really strong wrestler. He just won the Combat Jiu-Jitsu qualifier, and that was our squad. And we took it down to OT in the first team match. We went against Uchiha Clan, which was Spencer's team, back and forth with those dudes, all the way down to the wire, went to the OT. In our version of Quintet OT, you have EBI rules. We hit the EBI rules. They picked Ray for some reason. They didn't do the scouting report. Those guys are the man, but yeah, Ray just has a beast rear naked choke. He chokes the shit out of me if he gets my back. And then second round, we ended up going against the Hens. There's so many matches to break down. I can't break them all down. Eric Naples, sick match. Who else hit a highlight match? Michael Carpenter, sick match. There were a lot of sick matches. And then the team tournaments was nuts. And then the finals, Team 10 Planet Finishers versus Team Henzo Gracie. Obviously figured everybody would come down, seeded 1 and 2, right? We had the buys because we had the most black belts and most experienced competitors. So anybody out there complained that we had a buy, Chew doing. It was by black. We had 4 black belts on our team, so we got the buy. But anyways, we faced off. They got to win first, and then we got to stall out. Then they got to win. Then we got to win. Or no, they got to win. We got to win. Then it was a stall out. Then we got to win. I tapped the one guy with a ankle lock. Then they got to win. And then we go into a draw. And then it was boom, EBI rules. And I was like, shit, they knew that I was tired in my first match that went to a draw because I just had a big time adrenaline dump. I ran 10 finishers. I set all this one up, talked to all the competitors, had the whole thing set up for Renee and these guys to run, collected all the money, got the insurance, handled pretty much everything besides ref my own matches, and coached Grace, and helped coach my team, and competed in it. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it was a lot of work. So that first match, I was throwing fucking heat at Joey Lugo, and he was returning fire, and we were going at it. And I just got tired, man. I'm not going to lie. Just a big time adrenaline dump. I just couldn't move. So I just had to grit one out and take an ass beating in front of everybody and survive. But, I knew we would get another chance. Thank God we won. We went to get another chance. And then my second opportunity, also BT Dub, I got a takedown, hit a sweet ankle pick. And so 2 points. And then the next match, I went against a guy, got a straight ankle lock, right? Tony Bergnato. And then I eventually went against him in the EBIOTs. And then I ended up losing to Frank Rosenthal. I went against him. I was doing okay, but I was beat from the match previous. And he ended up getting me an arm bar. My arm popped. So I'm like, fuck, man, I hope they don't pick me. Right. So it turns out you get to pick from the other team, but you don't tell. They picked me. So it comes down to me versus Tony. We picked Tony because the other guys are all young and really good. So we picked the two oldest guys. I don't know how old is he, but he's fucking jacked as shit. Shout out to Tony. I know he's probably feeling some type of way about this because he was a late replacement too for Ethan Krellinston, who got stuck at the border or some shit like that. I might have called ICE. What is it called on him? Yeah, immigration on his ass. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I got out right away. I don't think he was ready to hold on to me too tight. And I just went for the spin. And listen, I practiced. I'm good at, that's like, they just fell into the trap of being in two things that I'm good at. One is escaping the back from the neutral position. When someone gets your back in a roll, it's a lot harder. But right when the ref says go, I just turn my hips, not to give everything away, but if you can turn your hips faster than they can put the body triangle on, you can spin quicker than they can catch up with. And that, unless they anticipate that you're going to do that and get ahead of you, and then they can retake the back. Hard to explain again, but you have to feel it to believe it. But it's true. Ray also, same escape. Keith Krikorian, buy his DVD, BJJ Fanatics. And then I took the back, obviously. I knew I was tired. I heard everybody coaching, and I was kind of setting it up. I knew I wanted to go arm triangle because that was my best way to finish, because I couldn't even sniff his neck. The guy was so strong. And but I got long legs, so I put the body triangle on. And then one thing I always forget to do, I actually fucking remembered. I don't know whether I just shut everybody else out. I did hear people yelling stuff like, go Zach, and just random stuff. But I was just shutting them out and just trying to keep as tight as possible. But remember what Javi Vasquez said at the seminar was, once you get the body triangle, you can hold them with the upper body clinch, but don't squeeze them too tight. Stay taut, but not too tight. And it's another thing that's almost impossible to explain, but you're not squeezing, but you're staying taut, so you're not wasting all your energy. But you, again, have to just stay ahead of the guy. When he moves, you move, and you got to change the body triangle. You got to keep the head position. And in my mind, I just kept telling myself all the steps. Body triangle, switch your body triangle, squeeze the body triangle. Okay, hold, head position. And like, I don't know, I heard Tony yelling. Thank God for Tony Bechek. Shout out to Tony, just Burchek yelling shit at me. Like, I definitely heard him and I heard people yelling, but I was just trying to concentrate. And then I was like, I need to get to the arm triangle, but I want to cook him because I got out really fast. So I figured if it went down to the third round, I could try to get up some time. So that's why I took the back and not the arm bar. Plus, I didn't know if I could get his arms off. I would only go to that if I was down time. So I'm on the back, and like, I couldn't get my arm around to where I wanted it to go arm triangle. I didn't want to think. So I kept trying to put it around his neck. And when I pulled my arm away, his arm went with it. And then I gunned my arm back faster than he could get his arm around. I let his head get to the mat thinking he would escape. And then I had to like spider monkey around his body with my hooks. And one thing I've been working on a lot from Mount, right, is hooking my legs and really using those hooks. I think Brian McLaughlin called them ghost hooks when he came to our school, to make sure the person cannot just undo the hooks and just escape mount. If they do, it's way too easy. Their knee is on the floor. You could use any one of escape to pull their leg up. But once their hooks are in your legs, you have to address that. Same with putting your hooks underneath the buttocks with the crossed ankles. That one right there, you definitely have to address all that. You have to fight the feet first, unless you're like the best at kipping. Right? Kipping is when you like use your legs like a mermaid tail, and you're like working your legs out, and you're like using almost like a jackhammer to try to get that person off you. Right? So, but yeah, so I weaved around him and I hooked his legs, and then I had the arm triangle, and the dude was strong and he was pulling his arm back, but I had to readjust once because I knew I was too high. And that's what most people's arm triangles are messed up, in my opinion, is because they're too high. If you think you're low enough and you're not getting the choke, get lower. And if you think you got low enough, then get a little bit lower and then cut the angle. And then just the way you have it on with the leg hook, it's toast. It's done. That's the arm triangle of death, kid. I want to make that, dude, that's a shirt right there. The Wu-Tang Clan arm triangle of death. Wasn't it 36 chambers of death? Arm triangle of death. Of death. If you get that, Grace was going for the arm triangle, same arm triangle that she was going on Trinity, except she didn't finish it because Trinity's arm triangle, Trinity's neck is really thin. That's what I think. But yeah, and then dude, so I wrapped around the arm triangle, and the second time they were yelling at me to go to side control, but I don't like to finish it from side control. I like to finish it from mount with the leg hook, the hip drop, and the angle cut. S-grip all day. And a lot of people right now are really concentrating on what grip I use. I do like the S-grip, but I also think it's because of the way that I'm cutting the head and angle around the neck. But I'm going to do a whole arm triangle, head and arm choke instructional down at BMAX in like a month or two. So I'll have that available. It'll be for like $25 or some shit. But now I'll just cover just my head and arm choke situation. And all the stuff that comes from it, some of the important escapes that led me to believe that this positioning on the arm triangle is the best. And Eddie Bravo agrees with me, kind of. He likes to finish arm triangle a little bit different. But who am I to tell Eddie Bravo? He's a fucking beast. And he once arm triangled my eyes, and they almost popped out. Like he arm triangled my neck so hard that my eyes almost popped out. That's what I meant to say. So anyways, I lock up the arm triangle, and you could tell he didn't like the foot to be hooked in the leg, because if you watch the video, he was reaching down, trying to unhook my foot from the back of his knee, from the back of his ankle. And the weirder, the more flexible and the more hookier your legs are, the more you're going to be able to wrap up people's, legs with this. So, and make it uncomfortable for them. And he's worried about that. And he couldn't even get out of the choke. And what's more important is he couldn't turn away from me and give up his back or make me go to another type of choke, which I'll also be covering, is like a side rear naked choke. If you watch the 10 Planet qualifiers, Ricky Lule, he finished a couple of these. It's like a Gio Martinez-esque style rear naked choking the side. And I really love this position too. Although for Gio and Ricky, I feel like their side rear naked choke, head and arm strangle, I said strangle, I'm a Kuda now, is stronger than their mounted arm triangle, just because I haven't been able to show them the way that I've been doing it, and because their squeeze is way squeezier than mine. They have fucking strong-ass squeezes. I don't have the craziest squeeze, but what I do have is the technique of doing it. And like Eddie Bravo said, you got to fall in love with choking necks. And that's the bottom line. And that's final. So, and then I ended up, not to cut that short, but I ended up finishing the arm triangle. Right when he tapped, I just fell over and covered my head, because I was like, holy shit, I can't believe we just fucking won this shit. I can't believe it worked out to where it came down to me and it was on the line and I had to do it. And honestly, I didn't even think about it. I didn't like, oh my God, there must have been so much pressure on you. And I'm sure there was. And if I would have lost, it would have sucked. But man, what an epic time for me. And I definitely teared up when I was talking to everybody at the end and just telling everybody I retired. And what a way to go out for me to do it at the tournament that I helped create and pretty much run. Every time it comes up, it took me 11 to be able to feel comfortable jumping into it, but I did the work. I trained really fucking hard for it. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to do better than that, with an exception of arm triangling, fucking Jeff Glover, Gary Tonin. I mean, I went out on top, winning it for the 10th Planet Finisher squad over a rival Team Henzo. I love those guys. But thanks for giving us the opportunity to do this, because it takes two to tango. Thank you to all the guys from my team and my wife for being there, and Ross, and just everybody for supporting me along the way and working so hard for the Finishers tournament. Sid, and like I said, Renee and Tom and Abe, and just everybody. Lanky Fight Gear, John Robinson, who donates money to us every fucking time. I love that guy. I just really appreciate everybody for giving me the opportunity to go out like this and to be able to do something like that. So without all you guys, this wouldn't have been possible, because there would have been no one there watching. But I appreciate everybody reaching out to me. I tried to get back to everybody. If I didn't, I'm sorry, but thank you guys to just everybody, man. Like I'm really blessed to be in the situation that I am, and I promise to never take that for granted. And I hope you guys know that. But we're just gonna keep slanging. I'm gonna keep doing cool stuff. I'm gonna keep pushing the limits. We don't have a big bank account or a big budget to run a lot of this stuff, but we are gonna make it cool, and that's what means more to me. And we're the underground, and people are always like, why don't you guys get this guy to fight this guy? I don't give a shit about that. I don't know the names of the tournaments. Dang it. Jits King, Stars. Yeah, Substars and some of the other shit. Let all these new tournaments and Kasai, you know what I mean, obviously, and Rise. Let all those tournaments get in the huge big name guys, and we'll just keep putting on the next the next group of guys on the sub-only scene, the underground. And that's where it always ties in. I love old school hip hop. I love old school wrestling. If there's a way that I can combine old school hip hop with 90s wrestling, with 90s shit, with MTV and finisher sub only and submission only jiu-jitsu, that's what we're going to do. We're going to be the underground. Okay. Let the big shows be the big shows. Let ADCC and EBI and combat jiu-jitsu, they're the big ones. We're the underground. We're putting on the new talent, the guys that are on their way up to try to make it to the big shows. And that's why we started this shit in the first place, because we felt like everybody was getting opportunities that we weren't. So we just created our own. And you can definitely do that, people. And that's like a rags to riches story. We started this shit with a zero budget, dude. Zero. And just taking money off the door and just not even making money, just trying to let it happen, just trying to make sure it happens. And we started it from zero. And then because of that, at number 11, I got to retire from competing, choke a guy out, beat the squad that we've had many of, battles with rivalry wise, and just go out on top and just rep my team and see my wife and, my squad there to see me do it. So, that means a lot to me, and that, just let that be known. You can, create your own reality, and we really did that. We created our own shit, and now we go out there and we win it. I mean, JM, one of his biggest wins is against Ethan Krelenston, who's one of the best guys in the world. Beat him at the finishers tournament. We set that matchup up. We wanted to see whether JM, I thought, had had a style that if he got Ethan wrapped up in his guard, he could beat him, and he did, and he rose to the occasion, just like how I did, just like how Grace does, just how, the people who lose have to come out there and give the other person the opportunity to make that match happen. So if you lost, it's just one. I'm going to have you back. Don't worry about it, right? The finishers tournament and the underground will live on. April, looking at early April to have the next finishers open. And we're looking at, maybe June or July to have the women's team tournament. So we're definitely getting on that. But again, I appreciate you guys as usual. If you want to support me in any way and just, say thanks for anything that we've done for you, go on to this podcast, go on to Finishers MMA, 10 Planet Bethlehem on Google, and leave us reviews. Go to shopfinishers.com, buy our merchandise and buy our gear. That helps us so much, because that goes right back into buying more gear and making more cool stuff. Or if you want to go to BJJ Fanatics and purchase our DVDs, we have 2 of them out right now. Me and JM have one on the 10 Planet warm-ups. Great way to start your entrance into 10 Planet. If you start training with us, you start training anywhere, you should have that. It explains all the moves in depth. You can rewind, watch it. We started going even deeper into the moves. Plus, I have my arm triangle on our second DVD, which features Grace on it. She even kind of sort of teaches a move. So check that out. Thor is releasing his DVD coming up, and there's so many good ones out there too. You can get, the game is to be had. You think I'm not doing research and watching all this shit? I'm watching everything. I'm watching gi. I'm watching sumo wrestling. I'm watching fist fights. I'm watching bar brawls. I'm watching fucking steer wrestling, dude. I'm watching jello wrestling. I'm watching everything. I want to see what people are doing, how people are winning, and how people are losing. So I'm, again, just because I'm not doing, competitions or fights anymore, doesn't mean I'm not heavily involved and trying to influence the game. So once again, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you motherfuckers on the mats, boy! Thanks for listening, and thanks to our sponsor, Fuji Sports. If you guys don't know about Fuji, they've been in business in the jiu-jitsu, judo, martial arts business since the beginning of time. And they're our current sponsor. They sponsor Thor, they sponsor Grace, and they sponsor Finishers Enterprises. So if you've never checked out Fuji before, go to fujisports.com. They got all types of gear, gi, no gi, judo. They got lifestyle stuff. They got hoodies. They got stuff to clean the mats. And they also work great with BJJ Fanatics, which we actually have a DVD out right now. So if you go to bjjfanatics.com, search 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu, or search Zach Maslany, JM Holland, and the 10 Planet Fundamentals come up. And you can buy a DVD and watch us teach some moves. So shout out to Fuji. Also, not to mention, if you're looking for mats and you want to make your school look great and you want to take your squad to the next level, then why are you training on puzzle mats, dog? What you doing? Get those Fuji mats. Holler your boy. I'll hook you up with the right people, and we'll get you all set up. So whether you're looking for gear, mats, DVDs, moves, we got you covered. Fujisports.com, BJJFanatics.com. Shout out to your boy. This podcast is also brought to you guys by ShopFinishers.com. That's pretty much where you can get all of our gear. You can get our Cruise Combat custom rash guards, the red one, Fire Red, the North Carolina Blue, or you can get the OD Green. We're about to drop some new shirts. That's your home for Finisher TV stuff. You can actually buy tickets on there to the Finishers 10. If you want, you can get, I'm going to be releasing a bucket hat real soon, but we got some top designers, M85 Designs, Mike Mons. We got Sharkface Apparel, my boy Bryce throwing their stuff up. You can get 10p Allentown stuff. You can get 10p Miami stuff. You can get stickers. You can get 10p Miami flip-flops. We're going to be selling everything. So always check out shopfinishers.com, and that has all your needs. You can link to it from our website, too. If you go to finishersmma.com, you can just click on shop right there and get all the swag that you need. So shopfinishers.com. It's your boy.
Are you interested in starting your own podcast but have no idea what to do? Maybe you already have the equipment you think you'll need, but don't have the time or resources to produce the podcast yourself. Whether you're in the market for a producer to take over an existing show, or you want to start a whole new podcast, PRM Podcast Productions is for you. We do everything from helping you get your show started to editing, producing, uploading, managing, promoting, and much more. We offer various plans and levels of editing, as well as many additional options to choose from. We also offer voiceover and transcription services and can supply male, female, or kids voices for ads, promos, intros, outros, and more. If you want to know more or see our other shows we've produced, go to prmpodcastproductions.com or click on the link in the show notes. Anyone referred to us from Zach's Corner Podcast or from Finishers MMA will receive a 10% discount.